Ladies and gentlemen, greetings and welcome to Let's Talk Theory, the show where we analyze some ideas and hypotheses around our favorite subjects. I'm your host, Zelrix, and today, welcome to October, bitches! God, I love the month of October. It means three things. First of all, Halloween is coming up. Second, my birthday is coming up. And finally, the next videos will all be Halloween themed so we can have a little spooky moment all together. Isn't that fun? Yes, when you have a community to satisfy with entertaining media on YouTube, nothing like making them shit their pants all together. So to kick this off, what's better than to go back to my favorite Halloween themed movie? Coraline. There is already 2 videos on Coraline on my channel. In the first video, I deduced that Coraline might be a past version of the Beldam, and in the second, we were theorizing about the character of YB, and it's possibly tied up with The Graveyard Book, another book by Neil Gaiman. But today is all about establishing a timeline, digging deep inside the movie, digging deep inside the lore, and answer this eternal question: what is the Beldam? Once again, I feel like I have to warn you about spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie, first of all, go see it, it's amazing. Then come back because we're gonna spoil it like crazy. And remember that I'm dealing with some scary theme here, so this video might be a little more unsettling to watch than my other videos. After writing this video, I made like 6 nightmares in only one night, I swear. So now that this is out of the way, let's talk theory. Before we start digging, we need to establish a timeline using the clues left throughout the movie. According to Coraline's father, the Pink Palace was built 150 years ago. In the meantime, the Beldam has seized 3 children, the most recent being the great aunt of YB. At the end of the movie, when the Beldam and Coraline fight, the Beldam say that if she doesn't get Coraline's soul, she will die, so we can deduce that she's on the verge of death or so. YB's great aunt having disappeared when she was a child, we're gonna assume that the Beldam needs to feed on a soul at least once every 50 years. That would put her roughly at 150 years old. But I don't see a baby Beldam abduct a child, so maybe like more between 150 and 200, knowing that back then the lifespan of an average human being in America was between 38 years old and 47 years old. This is the timeline the movie is gonna give us, but what if the Beldam was older? Way older. The word Beldam itself is actually a very old word that was used in the 16th and 17th century. That means the Beldam could even be between 300 and 400 years old. The word Beldam itself comes from French poetry and is basically used to describe an evil stepmother. And just like that, Coraline became Cinderella. Great job, internet. See, according to the movie's logic, the Beldam must have been human at some point or came from our world to the other world or before creating the other world, depending on what's your theories on the subject. We know this because in the other world, when something tries to get through our world, it becomes dust, with the exception of Coraline, the cat, and the Beldam's hand. Granted, there are also the mice, but in the book, remember that it's not said that the mice have button eyes, so perhaps they're not created by the Beldam, but they still worship her. Worshipping is a strong word, let's just say the mice works with the Beldam. So, how does the fact that the Beldam is coming from our world will help us deduce anything about her? Didn't I just say that she needs to feed at least once every 50 years? Didn't I say that there were 3 ghost children? Yes, but I never said there were never other children before them. Let's examine the fact. The ghost children died in the Pink Palace. That's why they can't exit it, they haunt the place. But before the Pink Palace, there was no house to hunt. So perhaps the Beldam might have had another lair with other ghost children before finding the Pink Palace. Somewhere where the ghosts of the children that she has taken are still hunting, waiting to be freed. Just with that possibility, we extended the Beldam as a being that could have lived through centuries. So now the big question, what is she? Or more accurately, who? is she? Beldams are actually a creature that does exist in some folklore, but are very poorly known, and it's another word for witch. Beldam is a witch. Enter Exhibit A. Do you remember the talisman that Coraline used to detect the eyes of the ghost children? Well, when the Beldam found it, she destroyed it like she knew the power that was laying within it. And guess what these things are called? They're called Witch's Stone. Plus, if you like the theory that the old well is actually the original doorway to the other world, we see a ring of mushroom around it, and those rings in nature are called Witch's Circle. That plus not forgetting that the Beldam actually demonstrates some magical powers like, creation of matter, shapeshifting, all things that witches can do in some legends. So there you go, now that we know that the Beldam is a witch, who is she? Well, what if I told you that we can actually dig through history to find out her identity and even her name? Hold your breath, cause I'm about to drop some knowledge. The real identity of the Beldam is Goody Call. Yeah, maybe I should give this one an explanation. During the 17th century, a woman named Innis Cold was accused of being a witch. She was constantly getting into arguments with neighbors, answering very disrespectfully, being rude, being shady, being gruesome. And anyway, I think you get the point. Knowing the time and place this happened, it was not long before she was accused of witchcraft. In 1566, Cole was whipped due to an unknown offense. We discovered some witch's mark, as we called it back then, on her naked body while she was being whipped, and therefore she was accused of being a witch. She was sent to Boston to stand a witch trial and was condemned to 4 years in prison. Then, after her sentence was over, she got into an argument with a neighbor and was then condemned to 8 years in prison. Well, I mean, she cursed at the neighbor, she was yelling, she was once again accused of witchcraft, and there go, goodbye prison. All of that happened in the following year after she was released from prison the first time. But in those times, we both know how it happens. They take you, they throw you in a river. If you float, well, the dark has saved you and you have to die by fire. But if you drown, you were innocent, but it's okay because you're forgiven and you go to heaven. Also, you can be tortured until you admit you're a witch or die. We can dump a bunch of rocks on you until you admit you're a witch or die. We can hurt you just to hear you say you're a witch. Anyway, you get the point. Witches are horrible creatures, especially for us, good and righteous men who have the right to decide who lives and who dies. And okay, this is getting a bit political, sorry about that. Then after 8 years in prison, she was released, just to be reaccused immediately of being a witch by another neighbor. The Smith family ran into her at the roadside. They were carrying a bunch of bags full of cereal and everything, and she was trying to be a good neighbor. She asked, how are the cereals, what do you do with them, blah blah blah. But the Smith did not want it to be seen with a witch. Then the Smith went home and they were trying to make bread, but their English bread came out of the oven horrible. Within 24 hours it became rotten and the stink was awful. So the Smith decided that it was not their ingredients' fault and the witch has cursed their oven. They even tried the oven of their neighbors, but the bread still came out rotten though. And they tried. They did switch ingredients, they did rebake the bread, but it only made things worse. One night, the stink of the bread in their home was so horrible that they thought they were going to die of it. So naturally, being good Christian, they started to pray to God to take away the bad smell, and eventually the stink disappeared. In the meantime, Eunice was once again accused of witchcraft, and this time against a 9-year-old. This is where our first link to the Beldam comes up. She used magic against a kid, just like the Beldam did to Coraline and the other kids. For Eunice, she died in prison according to the source after having been condemned for witchcraft for the 5th time in 1680. Two things. First of all, 5 times? Really? Then, as mentioned, she died in prison. In the legends, do you know why we burn the body of witches? It's for them not to come back to life, not for their corpse to be reanimated. I'm sure you know where I'm getting with this. In the universe of Coraline, Eunice died, resurrected, and then became the Beldam. Actually, if you've been paying attention so far, I've called her both Hennis Call and Goody Call. It is because Goody is a nickname we give to a housewife that takes care of the kids, is a good wife to her husband, etc. And that is precisely the scams the Beldam is putting off. She disguises herself as a mom, she takes care of the kids, she seems like a great mother and a great wife. She can make anything you want to drink or to eat. That is the definition of a goodie or a good wife, as it is the complete call. But I think we both know that it requires some skills. You don't learn how to be a caring mother or how to look like a caring mother from one day to another. Maybe that she used the experience she had in her past life to pull up the scam that lured children into her lair. Then, the Legend of Cole uses magic to affect food, and the Beldam uses the same kind of magic. As a matter of fact, food is very important in Coraline at a symbolic level. The Beldam can create anything to eat or to drink for the children to appreciate it. Then, when Coraline escapes the other world for the first time, what does she find in the kitchen? Rotten food. Sure, you should not let your groceries outside of the fridge, but Coraline was not gone that long. This food should not be that rotten. Unless it is Goody Cole's magic that made them rotten. What if the Beldam cursed the food in the real world to make Coraline understand that she's not safe there and that she has her parents? Okay, I know this is a lot to process, so here's a summary of the theory. In the 17th century, Goody Eunice Cole was accused of witchcraft and died in jail, but her body not being burned, she resurrected and became the Beldam. Although her deteriorating body needed to be replaced, so she began to construct some metal part that she attached to her body after some part of it just fell off due to the old age. This is probably where she discovered that eating the soul of children will grant her near immortality. She eventually established herself beneath the Pink Palace until Coraline arrived and defeated her. Or did she? You see, if we believe the theory that the old well is actually a portal to the other world, that means that both at the end of the book and the movie, the Beldam got the key. And if the Beldam got the key, well, that means the tale of Eunice Cole is not over. I don't know if you guys will sleep with the lights on tonight, but I surely will! Tell me in the comments, what is your theory on the Beldam's past? Think to subscribe while you're there and activate the bell to be notified when a new video comes up. Then go to my Instagram and follow me, it is always so rewarding to see it grow. Don't forget to share this video with all your friends. Have an amazing month of October, and as always, thanks for watching.